Some gas for President Biden, adding to voters' concerns about his fitness for office. Now, best-selling author and presidential hopeful Marianne Williamson is ripping the DNC for throwing its full support behind Biden's re-election bid and for refusing to hold debates. She claims it goes against the very notion of democracy. Let's discuss this with Stephen Lawson, former communications director for the gubernatorial campaign of Ron DeSantis, and Kevin Walling, former Biden campaign surrogate. Guys, I want to start out with this quote from Marianne Williamson. She tells Fox News Digital, quote, "I don't think it's good for democracy. I think it's very important that the Democratic electorate get a chance to weigh in. I look at the campaign season as a long job interview process, and the voters should have a chance to interview all of the candidates for the job, and that does include the president." Stephen, what do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for a party that wants to talk about free speech and enabling that, at every turn, they seem to be suppressing it. You know, the Republican threshold for debates is 1%. Marianne Williamson is at 10%, and Kennedy is at 17%. I think the president absolutely should be on the debate stage. The American people deserve that. But forget a campaign. He needs to prove that he has the mental cognition to run this country. Look, this is part and parcel for his playbook. It's why he ducks debates. It's why he doesn't do interviews. It's why he forgets where he's at sometimes. It's why he bumbles through speeches. You know, most people wouldn't hire this person to do their taxes, let alone run the world's largest superpower. So he absolutely should debate. The Democrats should be open to that, and the American people deserve that.
Kevin, does the president need to combat that perception that he's going to run another campaign in the basement here? Does he need to get out and disprove that?
Well, Rich, I think the president is already doing that. Listen, he just announced an Investing in America tour where he's going to tour, 20-plus states over the next couple of days and weeks, talking about the infrastructure bill. No incumbent president has ever debated in a primary situation. I remember Donald Trump in 2020, the incumbent president faced a primary challenge from two members of Congress and a former governor. And did he debate those individuals on the primary debate stage? No. The president has rallied the Democratic Party behind him. No serious challenger, with all due respect to Marianne Williamson and Robert Kennedy, has stepped forward to take on the president. He's rallying this base, and he's going to defeat whichever Republican is put up in November.
You know, Stephen, what about that idea that you didn't have the former president, Donald Trump? He never debated in 2020. Barack Obama has it, and nobody else has really, no other incumbent president in modern times has submitted themselves to a debate. Isn't this just smart politics?
Well, no, I don't think so, because in 2020, you didn't have two opponents taking up nearly 40% of the Democratic base of support. And so I think it's an apples and oranges comparison. And look, this is why you've got a sitting president in Joe Biden whose approval ratings are in the high 30s. His base, he does not have a base of support. Independents, moderate voters are looking elsewhere for other things. And I think it's just, again, another reason why he doesn't want to be on a debate stage, because the people around him realize that anything could happen, and none of it's good.
So going into a presidential election, and really especially on Independence Day, a look at how Americans feel about their country. And this is from a Gallup poll saying that 39% are extremely proud to be American. That is essentially unchanged from a low of 38%. Now, Gallup does point out that when you add those who are extremely or very proud to be American, it still is 2/3, 67%. But, Kevin, what about that? What about the idea that Americans aren't as proud to be Americans as they once were?
Well, Rich, we've got to work on that. Listen, today we celebrate 247 years of this incredible experiment. And I hate that we view patriotism through the lens of politics and polarization. This is the greatest country in the world, and I think if you spend any time overseas and you talk to other folks in other countries, they still believe we're the shining city on the hill, that, you see people desperately trying to get to this country. People aren't fleeing this country. They're coming in droves because of that American dream, and I think we need to recapture some of that. Hopefully we'll see that on display today with barbecues celebrating America, the fireworks displays that you and Julie just talked about here on the nation's mall. But again, we need to recapture that sense of patriotism, and I think we can.
And Stephen, final word to you. How do we capture that again?
Well, I think we've got to continue to have everybody invested in this country. Kevin's right. We do live in the greatest country in the world, but more and more people, that American dream is out of reach, and we've got to get back to investing in that. And that means, it's hard for people to have a pride in their citizenship when thousands of people are pouring across the border. It's hard for people to have pride of citizenship in their community when they see it being overrun with crime and homelessness and drug use. It's hard to have pride in the future generations when we're more concerned about pronouns and TikTok rather than arithmetic and reading. So we've got to get invested, but we've also got to get back to teaching civics and learning about the people that dared and explored and innovated and died protecting that ideal and that freedom for our country to continue to succeed.
Stephen Lawson, Kevin Walling, thanks so much for joining us, and happy Independence Day.
Happy 4th, Rich.
Happy 4th.